Welcome back to the Madhouse Show. As you see, we got quite a different format now. We're doing video calls so we can reach people all over the world. So if you've watched in the past, you'll remember me. Hopefully, you'll remember our good friend Luke over there and Danny Spees. He was on an episode as well. And we have two newcomers to the show. We'll start with over in Georgia. We have David Montgomery. Why don't you introduce yourself, brother? Say a little bit about what you do.
I'm David, and I live in Georgia now. I grew up in St. Louis, Missouri. I left St. Louis in 2007, moved to Georgia. As far as now, I work for a very large peach and pecan farm in central Georgia, and I'm just here to fill in a little bit of insight on some questions that people might have about our migrant workers that come every year.
And we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then I'll hop over to Danny Green over here, who has not been on the show yet. Why don't you just say a little bit about yourself, introduce yourself, bro.
Yep. So I am coming to you live from Greenville, South Carolina in the upstate. For those not familiar, it's about an hour and a half south of Charlotte. Just a quick trip down I-85. Anyway, I was born and raised here. I lived here until I was about 22 and got tired of small town life and wanted to see something different other than South Carolina. So I joined the Navy. I did 7 years there. I did 2 deployments overseas on the Eisenhower and 1 on the Truman. After that, I got tired of being in the military and living that life. So I chased a job to St. Louis to go work for Boeing and ended up in Florissant, and that was an experience and a half, especially getting there 6 months before the pandemic hit. No friends, no family, no nothing. And sure as shit didn't know anything about the area I had just moved into. So it was pretty fun. Yeah, it was good times. And that's how I met Joe. Crazy story how me and him met each other.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
We might should tell that. It was pretty fun. Anyway, the wife and I, both being from here, we got tired of being away from home. And we moved back to Greenville, South Carolina. Now we have a house here. And I'm still working in the aerospace industry. And big news from my end, we got a baby boy on the way. It's my wife and I's first child.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
I appreciate it.
That's what
I know I told you on social media, but I don't think I've ever really told you like in person or whatever, like even last night when we were talking. Congrats, man. That's awesome.
Thanks, man.
All right. And yeah, and we got, our St. Louis locals right here. You got me and Danny Spees and Luke. We're all just chilling here in St. Louis. And, we've been on the show a couple times before. We won't get too much into our backstories. You know us a little bit. Here we are. We're back. The Madhouse show's up and going again. The assassination of Charlie Kirk is what really motivated me. I took a 6-month break. We did the podcast for about 6 months and the politics started driving me insane. And then Charlie Kirk, let's just start with that, man. Anybody want to take this one, say a little something about Charlie, how they're feeling about the situation?
Well, I can tell you straight up, I'm pissed. Like they killed an innocent man, dude, for trying to speak unity. There's only a few reasons why you want to shut somebody down like that, dude. And it's definitely for no good. Well, it's the same thing with Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Kennedy. Like, what were they all doing? There's all similarities to them, but what were they doing? And that's what got them killed.
Everything's linked together. It's all that. This was not what this bullshit that they're trying to feed us.
Hell no, man.
That's it's almost bullshit. Like anybody that gets to the truth gets assassinated. Realistically, I got some interesting views on it. I would say just for an interesting new take, definitely go check out some Candace Owens, see what she's saying. You could, just pass her off as a crazy kook if you want to, or maybe you could just listen to a little bit about what she's actually saying and just give it some thought. I think there's a very large problem today in today's political climate where a lot of people are extremely indoctrinated. A lot of people really just parrot whatever the media or even social media just tells them. And it's really easy. Like I could just break it down and maybe do a video to show you guys how easy it is to make a fucking fake Facebook post. Oh, it's incredibly easy. Yeah. The Photoshop's been around forever and that's all you need to do it. It's very, very simple. And just to throw out these fake headlines, it's hard to even know what's real. Like, it doesn't matter what piece of news I hear. I have to double check and check multiple sources to even understand if what I'm hearing is real or not, because you don't know what's true anymore. People for clicks just push false information.
It is a lot easier to know what's not true than know what's true.
Well, yeah, and most of it's not lately, you know. I mean, there's a real problem with that today. There's a real problem with people extremely indoctrinated. You know, I mean, you got both left and the right. You have the people that will take Trump at every single word that he says and, you know, just look at Trump as God. I certainly don't. And then you have people that just, you know, parrot the left media, you know, just constant. I certainly don't either, you know, either one.
To hit on you feeling motivated by what happened to Charlie, and also how everybody is so siloed and so far away from each other. It's like you either have to be hot or cold, black or white. There's no middle ground. It's like middle ground is not acceptable.
Yeah.
So Charlie, obviously, he was trying to bridge that gap, right? He was trying to have some type of conversations, some type of dialogue from completely opposite views, which is great because there's not a whole lot of people trying to do that. It's either, no, you feel this way or this way. There's no compromise. That's one thing that we have just stopped doing. That is completely noticeable is there's no compromise. There's no understanding. It's just and I blame social media for this, is you get these 30-second bits of information and it's like you're supposed to develop an opinion off of 30 seconds of what one person said or did. And that's not how the human mind, body, heart, and soul works. Like we need time to figure out
It
who
is
somebody
easily
actually
manipulated.
is. You know what I mean? But going back to feeling the motivation, Joe, I completely empathize with that because this is out of the norm for me. I will make videos. Obviously, I've made music for a long time. So I like making music videos, getting up and performing in front of somebody to some music to release some inner feelings I might have that way. Like I'm used to that. But as far as getting up here on a platform like this and really talking, I mean, politics, I hate getting into those types of conversations, but I really felt compelled whenever Charlie died that I needed to say something. And it is really, for me, is faith-based because I relate to Charlie on that level. And he's the only celebrity that died that it felt like a part of me was hit and taken out in that moment. And what it boils down to me, being a believer in God, much like Charlie is, like, I felt that. It is weird. We refer to the body of Christ. And so when he died, it was like, it's hard to explain. It goes past the five senses that we're all used to. It was like a sixth sense when he died. It was like, you felt that. I felt it. And it's why I'm here tonight and speaking about, my faith and, just coming out here and exposing myself and, giving it a shot, you know?
Yeah, that's understandable, man. It takes balls to do that. It takes balls to put your face in front of the camera and put your face out there and your views, because you know, no matter what they are, somebody's going to have a problem with it. Actually, a lot of people are going to have a problem with it, no matter what your views are nowadays.
Yeah, I'd like to kind of roll off what Danny was just saying, you know, and he's right. He was out there trying to get, you know, just trying to talk to people. And I like to quote Charlie Kirk. You know, he said, when you stop talking, then that's when the violence begins.
Yeah.
You know, and I think what everybody felt that actually felt something in all that, I think that they got a real good look at what evil was.
Yeah.
You know, you never, like, you hear about it, you know, you see it in the movies, you see it on video games, stuff like that. But to see it actually happen, like, real evil is just, it's scary, dude. It truly is. It's horrifying.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of people were ready to see that. You know,
No.
People just want to kind of live in their little pretend boxy world and not actually think of the actual evils that, you know, that do exist. Like, you know, that's like that poor girl, on that train or the bus that got stabbed. I can't pronounce her name, and I'm not going to disrespect her like that.
I think it was Irina Zarutska, I believe.
It's something like that. She was from Ukraine, but you know what I mean? That you got to see evil. You actually looked at evil's face, you know, when that happened. And it's just, it sucks, dude. And I'm not really sure, but you know, just kind of putting off that.
No, yeah, I understand.
And that shit sucks, dude.
Yeah. And I think me and Danny were talking about it on the phone. Me and Danny G over here, Lieutenant Dan.
There we go. We
were just really people. there's a lot of people calling for civil war, things like that, or wanting it. And it's just like, people don't realize what they mean by that. Like when they say that, they don't want that, like a real civil war. It's not the fun shit that you see in the movies. It's not, it's not pretty. It's horrible for everybody. And, nobody really wants to see that.
No.
Hey,
But yeah, David, while you're here,
you have two different types of evil there. You have one that is just taught through culture or maybe like just something else, and then another one that's politically motivated. So you got two different things that are happening that result in the same end, and it's just insane. Like where's the next one going to come from? Is it going to be political? Is it going to be cultural? Is it going to be religious? Which with
Is it going to be national?
October 7th, I mean it's insane. The Hamas stuff on Israel, and that's a whole nother story. That's just outrageous right there. So
we've done whole episodes on that.
Yeah, that's what's concerning, is that it's coming from every direction. And another thing is like, I know we're focused on America and everything, but why is this happening to every Western civilization? Every Western civilization is going through the exact same stuff right now. No matter where you are, if you're in America, Canada, Europe, Australia, we're all going through the exact same thing. It's almost by design, in my opinion.
Yeah. I would totally agree. We were just talking to our friend over in Europe, a Muslim that lives in London, and he was explaining politics, and it just sounded so similar to ours. It really did, everything that's happening. So I totally, and we'll have him on the show on a future episode too. He's got some pretty good insight as to what's going on, just across the pond. And it's very similar to what we're going through right now.
They don't want you to know that all.
Well, they don't, but that's why we're here. So, we'll talk to people across the pond. We'll talk to anybody and just get that out there. So, yeah, I don't know. While we got you, David, because your internet is lagging a bit, and hopefully you don't have any more issues, but I know you did want to say a couple of things and maybe clear up a couple of things about migrant workers, because you're working on a farm with, as far as you said, I think 300 plus migrant workers. They, they come and go, yearly, I guess, for the seasons and stuff like that. So, I don't know. I guess originally you asked if we had any questions. I'm sure people do. We could start with let's start with the Trump deportations, which I will say before we get into that, as far as the numbers go, I haven't looked super deep into it, but I haven't really even seen them being much different than Biden's numbers or Obama's numbers or really many other presidents before. Deportations have always happened. They're just a lot more publicized under Trump, and that's what he ran on, and that's what they're going for. But the numbers themselves aren't even much different, but the people are reacting quite differently just to the deportations under Trump due to, just ICE and this battle for ICE. And I don't know, I guess, what do you want to clear up about that, about migrant workers, and what do you feel?
The fact that everyone gives a crap because it's Trump is just Trump derangement syndrome.
Yeah.
Every president has done this, right? So the thing is like when all these left-leaning people come out when Trump got office, and congratulations, red states, you can now pick your own fruits and veggies for $5 an hour. Our guys have a minimum wage of $16. Like that is what we have to pay them. Even if they're not trained, or if they're brand new, if it's their first year, they're getting $16 an hour, which is,
is that industry or is that the state of Georgia?
Well, this is for the specific. These are people who come in through the Department of Labor. So our Department of Labor reaches out to Mexico and it's like, hey, we need these many people. And it's under, it's called H-2A, which is a specific type of visa that they get. Now, these visas are good for 6 months or 10 months. And they come in and they're here for 6 months. They work their ass off 50, 60, 70 hours a week, fully clothed out there in the Georgia heat, in South Carolina, how bad it could get. It's bad. It's nothing but humidity down here. And So they're
Yeah, I
fully
go to Florida
clothed. I
every
mean,
year. It's terrible.
there's no skin showing on these guys. I mean, they're literally like just covered head to toe in clothing, and they go out there in 100-degree heat, and they're out there picking peaches, dude. Like you got to hand it to them. These are the hardest working people you've ever seen because they're working to provide their family with a better life and with hopes to come to America legally and create their own dream that they've always wanted, which I'm all for that. You know, that is completely fine, dude. I got
Yeah.
a lot of Mexican friends, dude.
I wish Americans wanted to work that hard.
There's very few, and
Yeah.
I've worked for this farm for 7 years now, but I manage all the irrigation for them, and I do all the installs. I manage the irrigation and I maintain the irrigation, and we have 12,000 acres, which are spread out in just different chunks of land in Georgia. Just chunks of land, 75 acres, 150 acres, 600 acres, 20 acres, like whatever. And I manage 55 wells, 55 irrigation systems separately. But the things I want to say about these guys is they're all very good guys. Out of the 300, we might get like 20 that are brand new. And if those 20 act a fool, if they get too drunk all the time, if they get hurt or if they try to bully someone or something like that, they're gone. Like we don't put up with that. You know, and as far as some of these I don't know who the farmers are that are getting these illegals, and I don't know how they're selling their product because everything you sell that is being digested by an American has to go through a very extensive investigations through the Department of Labor. The Department of Labor comes here and they look at all of our housing, make sure all of our housing is up to code. They talk to the workers. Are you being treated fairly? Are you getting paid for every hour you work? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? The Department of Labor has to inspect every single vehicle on our farm. And like it's just insane that there are these farms out there that are just literally taking advantage of these people, paying them $10 an hour or not paying them at all. But yeah, I mean that's just a couple of things that I kind of wanted to get out there that a lot of people don't know how the farming system works here in Georgia or in the U.S. Like if you're a legit farm, and we're a very large farm, we're the top producer of peaches and pecans in the Southeast. When you combine those two crops, if you single those crops out, we're neither the largest, but when you combine them, we are the largest in the Southeast. But yeah, we love all of our guys. They're all good guys, and we take care of them, and you know we call them our friends. Like they're just good people for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah, dude, I mean, I don't really feel like most Americans have a problem with that. You know, if they're coming here legally, legal immigration. You know, they're here, they're ready to work. I mean, I certainly don't have a problem with that at all. I mean,
But
you know, like that's what America is supposed to be about.
I will say that it is like the easiest way for them to get in here, though, and become illegal.
Sure.
You know, you come here,
Yeah.
you work for a couple months, you get hurt. They say go home, and you don't go home. You just you go somewhere else. You know, and it's hit or miss. You know, but
And yeah, I mean, that could definitely be a problem too. You know, I mean, like somebody put it, I don't even remember who it was, but like it's just way back in the days of Ellis Island, you know, when it's like, you know, come one, come all. And, you know, like what we were trying to build a country and really build something. And there is something to be said about modern times and how things are different. Now, back then, immigrants were more like settlers because we didn't really have the infrastructure and the things we needed built yet. Now, 250 years later, you have immigrants coming to an already built country. We've already built our country. We already have our culture. So yes, in modern times, I feel that the immigration, you know, the laws and the means of coming here, they do need to change. They do need to be a little bit more vetted. They do need to be a little more, you know, just heavy and you know, people need to be screened a little heavier because we do already have our infrastructure built. You're now coming here for a better life. You're not coming here necessarily to help build this country. Hopefully you are, because that's what we're all trying to do. We still got a lot to do and a lot of shit to build and, you know, and keep this place going. But you're coming to an already established country now. 250 years ago, 200 years ago, even 150 years ago. It was much easier to welcome everybody to come help us build this nation. This nation is already built pretty well and still could use a lot, but it's a little different now in modern times. That's all I'll say about that.
Do they get paid overtime by any chance?
No, they don't. And neither did I when I was
That's
hourly.
interesting.
I'm salary now, but when I was hourly, I did not get paid overtime. It's an agricultural loophole, and they take full advantage of it. Yeah.
I'd like to kind of touch on that. The reason why that it was so easier back then and why things were more affordable because we had jobs here created here. We were actually, we made things to export to other countries. And we were the powerhouse of the world. That's in like the industrial side of it,
Yeah.
manufacturing, and plus the inventive side. Come up with all these brand new things and all this other crap. It's why the Western world is modeled after the United States and Europe. There's a lot of shit that comes out of over here. Corporations and central banks came in, and well, now you have what we got going on because they adjust the stocks, and they also, let's adjust the that's the interest rate that's of your dollar. Your dollar today is worth, I forget the actual percentage, is worth less now than it was back in like even the 80s, and even more so it's in like the 60s and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just outrageous, dude.
That's how inflation works. Eventually the value of the dollar does go down, but we've had insane inflation over the last few years, we were just having a conversation about, you could put your, you could put your money in a high yield interest account, right? And okay, let's say like you get a good 4% or 5%. And it's like, okay, cool. I'm making 4% or 5%. If I make if I put $10,000 in there, I'm making $400 or $500 a year off that. That's great. But really, because inflation over the last, decade or so, it's been higher than that, so really, I think the
number we came up with was like, I think they're making like 1.6%.
It just depends on what inflation is at that time. But like, I think target inflation, I think is like 2.5, 2%, maybe 2.5. So even if you are gaining an interest of 4% or whatever, you're not really, because inflation's going up 2.5%, so you're only gaining 1.5% in a high yield. So it's outrageous when you think about it. If you have money just sitting in savings, all it's doing is sitting there and losing value, and that's pretty fucked up.
Not to interrupt the exciting topic of inflation and numbers, but I wanted to say this before I forget. I really wish I would have thought about this before now. This is to David. So I'm actually half white, half Mexican. My mom is from America. My dad is from and still lives in Mexico City. And through my dad, I have a little brother and a little sister. And my little brother, actually, I would have to ask him if the visa you mentioned was the same one he went to California on to go to work on a cannabis farm. But he overstayed his welcome and stayed past his visa, and his ass got deported. So I really wish I would have thought about it before now, because I would have loved to have him here so you guys could talk about that, because I haven't even heard the full story. I've just heard a small bit of it, but he even told me over the summer, he's like, you're going to have to come visit me. I can't visit you. And I'm not allowed to come back for like a certain amount of time. It's crazy.
Yeah. And
so deportation is in my bloodline.
Yeah, right. That does happen from time to time, and usually it'll be anywhere between 3 to 5 years. Like, no, you're not coming back. What was that his first time?
Yeah.
That was his first time.
As far as I know,
visa.
it's only been once.
But that was his only time on the visa. Like that was his first year.
I'd have to ask him. Honestly, I don't know the specifics.
The thing is you got to give the government trust. It's like if you've been doing it for 10 years and you haven't messed up, and then 1 year you slip up, they might slap you with a 1-year suspension. But if you've done it a couple, if it was your first time and you overstayed by a very, very long amount, then they're not going to be happy about that, because they know, I don't know what your brother was, what his intents were, but they don't like that. They don't like that at all. We have a guy who's 4 months into a 5-month suspension right now that has been working for us for 15 years. And that was his third time being caught overstaying his visa.
Oh, damn.
Why don't we dive in to a little bit, just about the political climate at the moment? Like where are we now? What do we do? You know what I mean? Like, I know I've had talks with a bunch of people. I know some people are like, whatever, let them just start shooting. I'm like, shoot who? Like who do you even shoot? How do you do that? Well, what does that even look like? Like, all right, you want civil war? What would that even look like at this point? Like with the way we are, technology, everything's completely modern. You got drones, you got this, you got that, you got people that want to fight, and you got, I would say 90% of Americans wouldn't want a damn thing to do with actually fighting.
No.
So
I wouldn't think so.
what do you do?
What was the didn't the 3%er, didn't that come from like the Revolutionary War where it was like 3%?
There's only 3% that was
Right.
of the colony.
Yeah.
Fought for what we have today.
Yeah. So I don't think it would be much more than that. I think you're right. 10% would probably be like being generous. It would probably be way less than that.
I think so. I would have to
Probably.
agree with that. Being on a realistic scale.
Yeah. What's your thoughts, Joe? What's your bridge to get us on the right track?
I mean, I'm no politician, man. I have no answers here, really. I would say, well, first and foremost, the one thing, Charlie, the assassination, everything inspired me to do is keep talking. Start talking to our fellow Americans, start saying our points, just kind of maybe trying to come to agreements on some issues. And like, I have a couple of trans people that have agreed to come on this show that we're going to have them on, whether they be in person here in the studio or they, we do this video call with them or whatever. But I mean, that's an issue. Why? Because it's something that a lot of Americans are divided on, and it might not hurt to talk to trans people and let's have a conversation how we feel about all of it. I mean, personally, I just, and it might be offensive to trans people to say this, and that's okay. That's why I'd like to talk to, my couple of friends that I do have. Like, can we just consider it a fetish? Some people have foot fetishes. I don't. I think it's kind of weird to have a foot fetish, but that's okay if you have a foot fetish and you like feet. So if you just considered being transgender as somewhat of a fetish, and you just like dressing up as a girl, or you really feel like a girl and you just want to be a girl, and that's what it is. It's just a sexual fetish that you have, and that's perfectly okay. And I'm sorry, if I say that and it becomes offensive to transgenders, because I certainly don't mean it that way. That is me just trying to bridge a gap. That's me trying to come to an understanding, because I think there are the simple transgender people that just want to, live their lives as they see fit. And, they want to live their lives as a woman. If you happen to be a man, or a biological man, and then live your life as a woman, that's okay. And I don't have a problem with that at all. But I mean, society does seem to have certain issues with that. And I think it'd be a lot easier if we could just consider it, somewhat of a sexual fetish and just call it that. When you say you are a woman, I feel there's a certain amount of entitlement there. And it's almost like trying to poke and prod at like the hardcore Christians or the people that would be opposed. It's almost like trying to start a fight, because it's like deep down, biologically you're not. So why are you trying to start this fight? What are you trying to get out of it? I mean, you can be a flat earther, or you can try to tell me the sky is green. And why are you doing that? Like, it's not real. It's not reality. And I think that's one of the things Charlie Kirk, one of the topics he covered extensively. And he did speak with a lot of trans people, and he had very religious views. I don't. I'm not as religious as Charlie Kirk at all. I'm not religious at all. I wouldn't say so much that, but I don't oppose the existence of a God. I guess you'd call that agnostic. I think just rounding it off and what you were, asking me originally, bridge gaps and start there. Like start with, where are there gaps? Well, there's one. I mean, obviously I'd like to live with transgender people, in society and welcome them and it to be okay. But in order for that to happen, not necessarily with me, because I'm not really opposed to them. I don't feel like I'm a threat to them at all. But I feel like a lot of people have a major problem with them, like far right or whatever you want to call it. And maybe there's just some gaps to be bridged and some agreements that need to be came to that we can all agree on. Like, yes, let's agree that you're a biological man and just come back down to reality, and that's what it is. But we don't need to talk about that fact all the time. I mean, maybe it's just you're transgender and that it's obvious or not obvious. Sometimes it's not. It's just same thing as racism. I mean, like if we don't make it a huge deal all the time and we just come to like simple agreements, basically like, the color of your skin doesn't matter. It's the merit that matters. Another thing Charlie argued, very, very hardcore. I think that's what we should do. Focus on that. Focus on merit. Focus on personality, regardless if they're trans, regardless if they're black, or Mexican, or Asian, or whatever. Let's just focus on human beings because we're all that, aren't we? And let's focus on coming to agreements. That's the first start. But it's extremely hard to do that when there's an obvious stake in divide. There's an obvious media trying to divide the hell out of us on every issue, left, right, black, white, men, women.
It's how they keep us in control. Under control.
Yeah. Yeah. And we do need to break free from that. That's my only advice. Talk with people, and that's what we're going to try to do here on this show. We're going to try to get people from all over the world, all walks of life. I don't care. Bring them on.
So I think a good start would be a simple start for everybody, no matter where you stand at on the political spectrum or the religious spectrum or the racial spectrum, is like, we just got to take these labels out of it. Like, I'm so sick of hearing radical left or Democrat this or conservative this or fascist or racist or homophobic. Like, I'm so sick of that shit because it doesn't help anything. All it does, and people just feed into it. And then the more and more people build up behind these movements or whatever you want to call them, and then the bridge gets further and further and further apart.
It does.
So it's a challenge to myself because I have my own beliefs. My beliefs lean more towards the conservative side, but I'm so sick of people hurling radical left around. Like, I'm tired of that because I'm tired of the other side of it, where it's
becoming a racist slur to call somebody left, pretty much.
Well,
or right.
See, you could look at it two different ways, but I feel like it depends, because I will say this: Trump is extremely ill-worded how he speaks. He does not speak, well, I don't know, like Obama was very articulate. He spoke very well. Trump does not. And let's just call it as it is. Like, and you do almost need an interpreter for Trump to say what he means. I most of the time understand what he means, but I totally get that he says shit the wrong way in a lot of ways. And he's not good at it when it comes to actually speaking. He's good at the simple way of speaking to people, but sometimes it's a little too simple and he comes across the complete wrong way. So my take would be this, and it just depends on what context you're talking about. But when Trump says the radical left, he's talking about the radicalized leftists. He's not calling the left radical. But now it's become such common language for him that he does refer to the left as the radical left.
Everybody becomes grouped into that.
Exactly. And so every time he talks about the left, he says the radical left. So it depends on which way you interpret that. Because I even said in my post after Charlie Kirk, I did say the radical left. But you know how I meant it? I meant it as the radicalized leftists, not the whole left.
Right.
So it depends on which context you take it in. And maybe you should, focus on articulating that. Trump won't. I will. I will apologize if I offend somebody. If I were to refer to the radical left, I'm not referring to the left as radical. I'm referring to the radicalized leftists, just in the same as if I were to say the radical right. I'm not saying the right's radical. There are radicalized right-leaning people as well.
Yeah.
So
it's
that
just
depends.
I think you touched on this. It's just been hurled around so much to where anybody that leans towards being a liberal or a Democrat, they're like, all right, they're talking about me. Much like how fascist is now synonymous with being a conservative. It's like if you voted for Trump, you're automatically a racist and a fascist now, which
Yeah.
is crazy, dude.
It is.
So you're telling me more than half of the United States is racist?
No.
And fascist? Like, do we even know what those terms actually mean anymore?
Most of them don't. And when it comes down to it, is most of America are centrists. Like they really are. Most are. Most aren't super radical leaning left or radical leaning right. You know, some, they'll be keyboard warriors for one or the other, but then you get them and you talk to them in person, which we've had them on this show, and we've had problems with keyboard warriors, even members of this show, and they're very different when they're on this show. They're much more reserved when they're actually talking to a person and they realize their whole actual face, words, and audio is going to be out there on the internet. Their whole persona is out there, and it's different. And that's why things like this show does matter. And like, you know, I don't care if fucking 10, 20 people listen to it or 10, 20,000. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
These are the types of things we need to start doing. We need to start talking to people. We need to start getting out there and just having conversations with everyday Americans. And then who knows? Maybe we'll get an actual, like, a bombshell idea, you know, from somebody, and then maybe be like, shit, that's really good. Let's start focus on pushing that issue, you know, and then we can try to push somebody's great idea on how to bridge one of those gaps if we come up with one, just having one of these conversations.
Yeah.
You know,
I think you just came up with the episode title, Bridging Gaps, man.
Sure, man.
I did have something to say about the transgender issue and stuff like that. You know, the loudest ones are the ones that really could care less about everybody else. The ones that are just living their lives normally and being fine, like everybody would like to coexist with everybody else, right? I mean, that's just the nature of being a human. But the ones that want to impose their life on you is when it gets a little bit troublesome, you know. And which you could tone down the religious rhetoric on the religious side. It's like, well, you're going to hell. What you don't have to tell that person that. Like, just let them live their life. You don't have to be mad and say, oh, you're going to hell. You're doing this. You're doing that. Just let them live their life. Just let it be, you know. And we can all just do whatever we want. I don't think it's hurting anybody as long. Now the problem is with the kids, right? That's the main issue.
That is where we normally draw lines there.
Right. I mean, like when you start to indoctrinate all this information into these soft minds that they're looking for any guidance in any way where they can. And when you have drag show people reading children's books to these kids, like, that's weird. They're like, who is this clown? Mm-hmm. They've never seen anyone like that. And they're like, oh, I can be that person? Yeah. You know, and then now their whole mind is just turned upside down.
Well, yeah, and there's just simple examples like Megan Fox's 3 sons are all transgender, and that is statistically impossible unless there's some form of grooming.
Yeah, you know, like something's up.
And maybe the oldest one decided, and then obviously what's going to happen? That the younger ones are going to follow suit because they're going to want to be like their older brother. So,
and that's a perfect example and highlights where my main issue with it is that it's been turned into a trend of sorts. And who follows trends more times than not is going to be kids. So it's like, okay, this is the latest fad and this is how I can gain acceptance, right?
Absolutely.
And that's the worrisome part about it for me is it's like, okay, adults, if you're an adult and you decide that's how you want to live your life, that's fine. But I really don't want you trying to push that onto impressionable children.
Sure. And there's certain other things too, like even the adults, like we'll say like young adults, definitely. Like I would say young adults like in college, you know, and that's another thing that Charlie Kirk definitely kind of fought against too, is the indoctrination of college and what these professors are pushing on these kids and how that all works. But when you think about it, I don't remember who exactly put it this way, but there's another aspect to this as well. a lot of it, you have to think. Life is not that hard in this modern world. It's not. I mean, it's tough, and there's definitely some problems, and there's some things wrong, and there's definitely a lot of things that could be fixed, but it's really not, living in a first world country like the United States. And so a lot of people, especially over the last decade or so, it's the virtue signaling that comes out. You got the BLM, the Black Lives Matter, and then you got these, let's just say, you got these white people that are virtue signaling out the ass for BLM. And you saw that everywhere. And to me, they are the more racist type of people. They are truly judging these people off their skin color. They're black. They need this. They need that. I don't look at people like that. That's how I could say I'm way less racist than you. I don't need to virtue signal about black people because black people don't need virtue signaling. Trust me, I know a lot of them, and most people I know with sound mind are like, what the fuck? I don't need your white ass to speak about on behalf of me or whatever. And that's what these people are doing. I need to speak on behalf of the black person because you know what that is? That's fucking racist. That's racist. That's virtue signaling. So let's take it a step further. And then you get these certain people that are, I don't know, in this young age, around, college indoctrination age, 20, we'll say, or whatever the hell, in this era. And then you got the transgender fad and you got everything. And then they say, look, I can do that and I can make myself a victim. And so I can victimize myself. I could be attention. Exactly. So I could be just like the very people I'm virtue signaling to make myself seem important. That's the only reason, because they really don't care about black people at all, but they want to virtue signal about them to make them seem important. But then the next step they could take is make themselves transgender, which not every transgender. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that is the fad that's moving forward. That is these people that want to victimize themselves in the same way that these people they're virtue signaling for, because they want that too. They want to play the victim. So what do? They change their identity, they become transgender, and then they decide to play the victim all the time because now they can. So now they're bitching and screaming constantly. I don't know how I'm going to live my life as a transgender under Trump. It's like, really? Because you were a dude 2 years ago and you transitioned just because it was the thing to do. Now you can bitch and scream all you want. And that, like I said, there are certain transgender people that transition for other reasons, for valid reasons. And then there's a lot that transitioned for that reason. And those are the ones that I don't respect, and I see right through them. It's not true. It's just because it's all about you. You want attention. You weren't coddled enough. I don't know what it is, but you just want attention. And now that you've done this to yourself, you can bitch and scream to the top of the world. But, no one's really listening either. So they get even more radical. They really do. And I'm not really even talking about specifically transgenders when I say that. I'm just talking about radicalized leftists, radicalized virtue signaling for BLM, for this, for that, whatever they can bitch and scream about. My main point is this is a first world country. Things are easy. So they need to find a reason to be oppressed. So they find a reason to be oppressed. And now they can just scream oppression every day. That's not even really happening.
Well, those are the same motherfucking people, bro, who are just that never not get what they wanted. You know what I'm saying? Like they're always told yes, they're always baby. You know what I'm saying? It's just fuck that shit. America's a bunch of fucking pussies, dude.
We've all had much easier lives than our forefathers. We
are definitely getting softer by the day.
No, I mean seriously. I mean, dude, they're demasculizing fucking America. Because I mean. What is it? How the hell does that saying go? It's
you're going into
times,
that.
Man, create hard times, hard.
That one. Thank you, my dude.
Yep. And that's another thing.
I was
another video
as y'all are talking about it.
But it's just like, dude, they're straight pussifying these fucking kids, and they're trying to indoctrinate the next fucking generation of voters, and that's period. So they have to fucking do this at such a young age, because they're their heads are sponges. To reiterate back on my dude over here, and it's. And it's like, well, how else are you supposed to do it? Because you already got us convinced that this side sucks or this side sucks. Or how about we just not do the whole side and been like, because somebody's benefiting off of somebody here everywhere. So why can't we all just get along and just do what we got to do and just shut the fuck up just shut the fuck up and do what you got to do. Nobody cares. I think
one person that was working on that was Charlie Kirk.
Well, right. I mean, I think what it is like people have to feel like someone cares or everybody cares about them. And what they can't like grasp on reality is that nobody gives a fuck about you.
No,
not
in the real world.
Not in the real world, right?
No.
Your little friend groups, your little social fucking groups where people are going to kiss your ass like, girl, you could do way better. Fuck that dude. And that dude was actually a really good guy. You know what I mean? Or vice versa. Like, oh, you didn't need that bitch, blah, 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 blah. While she was actually a really virtuous woman. You know what I'm saying? It's just, nobody gives a fuck, dude.
Not really. Everybody's kind of out for themselves, basically.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be because that's what America was founded on, dude. You make yourself whatever you want to do. Anything you want to be, dude, you can do it here. You just got to work hard enough. You got to have the drive to do it. But you got doers and fucking and you got the doers and whatever hell the other people are, bro. I don't even recognize that. You know what I mean? It's like I don't even give a shit. So there's certain people that make America run and others that just leech off of it.
Yes. And there's others that are encouraged to leech off of it. They're encouraged by the government. And personally, I feel they're encouraged by the Democrats. I'm a right-leaning centrist. I'll always say
definitely
that.
Somebody's getting
values,
subsidies off of this shit.
Exactly. I've never appreciated what the Democrats have tried to do to people. I never have. I've seen right through it this whole time. And they say, we're going to give you this and this and this, and that's why you should vote for us because we're going to give you stuff. And I just...
Can I intervene right there, bro? Because the right does the same thing. We're going to give you the Epstein files. We're going to give you this. We're going to do that.
Sure as hell didn't.
You know what I mean? So it's two wings of the same bird body, bro. It's exactly what it is.
Yes.
The shit's all bullshit because they're lining their pockets up there on Capitol Hill with our fucking hard-earned tax money. Period.
And
taxation is fucking
the same entities.
Oh, absolutely.
No, it absolutely is.
And honestly, I think there's some merit to it. I think those are the entities that went after Charlie Kirk. I really do. Because honestly, what's the main goal here? You're trying to indoctrinate the youth, and even the Democrats, I'd say, which obviously it's probably deeper than right and left. But I mean,
it is. That shit goes all the way back to Nazi Germany.
Well, just it was a pretty major loss this cycle for the Democrats, and they're not doing so well now, as far as I see, because it's like, oh, Trump bad, Trump bad, Trump bad. Well, you've been saying that for over a decade, and it's not working so much anymore. It obviously didn't work this election cycle, and so here we are, and they're in my eyes, it seems like they're doing even worse. They're still pulling out all the same stops, but they're just, I don't know. In my eyes, they're just falling and falling and falling. Not to say Trump's doing that well, but they're just doing worse. So I don't even know if the Democrats have a chance. So the only chance for them is to indoctrinate the youth as future voters. And what was Charlie doing? Charlie was
disrupting that cycle.
He was disrupting that.
He was
saying,
definitely
hold up.
trying to
You don't have
sway
to think
people
that
from
way.
the conservative side.
Yeah. So he was a fighting force for the right. He was a fighting force for the conservatives. And there's a lot more we can go into it. We'll probably do more episodes into it, more of the conspiracy theory, of it and everything else. And because there's a lot of people talking about that too. Like it really probably doesn't have anything to do with left and right. It probably has a lot to do with the fact that Charlie he was arguing for the release of the Epstein files, just not long before his assassination. He was, I don't want to say turning on, but he was questioning Jewish motives.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much truth or merit, so don't quote me on this because I certainly haven't done my own research, but I've seen, what was it, Candace Owens and Nick Fuentes both saying that Netanyahu offered him $150 million, which he refused. And then they said, come to Israel and let's talk about it. And he refused that as well. And this all happened right before his assassination. And then there's a lot of holes in the assassination story in itself, which
there's a lot of holes. It's just one giant.
No, there's quite a bit of holes in
Dude,
there.
I told you, bro. Just like fucking whoever that dude that I'm quoting right now. He's like, you got some dude in like a trench coat, one of those weird hats, smoking a cigarette, and he looks up and he says, I bet we can go stupider. They're like, no way. You'd be like, I'm telling you, we can do it.
Yeah, and they do all
Puts
the
the
time.
cigarette out and walks out the room.
That's all he has to say. That's all
he
he
has to say.
And then he walks out the room, and then they're like, I think he's right.
He's like, You know, and like I'm picturing this like group of old guys, you know, like balding, one, you know, few of them are in wheelchairs and shit. Guys got like an oxygen tank with them, you know, and they're just like sitting there, like, how are we gonna do it? You know, how in the hell are we gonna screw these guys over?
And they figure it out every time, honestly.
Every time.
And they get richer every time. You know, I mean, one of the few people I have faith left is the absolute Nazi, Elon Musk. Jesus. I mean, we had a whole episode on that, on his whole Nazi salute and everything. We had quite a few Democrats in on that episode just arguing like crazy about that whole thing. And I'm like, are you fucking serious? Like, get over yourselves. I mean, the one thing I'll say about Elon is really think he is a true man of science, and I think he's for the advancement of the human species. I think that's where he lies, and I don't think he has many political motivations. I think he's very hyper-focused. If you look at him and you look at what he's built, all of his different companies, everything he does, it's all been to get to Mars, to get to space. Like the Boring Company that he does, you know, boring holes and shit like that. What are you going to need to do on Mars? That is what you're going to need. You're going to need the best boring equipment that you could ever imagine, because we're probably going to have to live under the surface or whatever once you get that going on. The Teslas, the Cybertruck, what are you going to need on Mars? You're not going to have any gasoline.
Yeah.
Total recall.
You're going to need an electrical vehicle, like, and built well, like I've heard mixed reviews, but built well like the Cybertruck, whatever. He's trying. You're going to need a badass electrical vehicle on Mars. You're going to need to bore tunnels on Mars. SpaceX, you're going to need to get to Mars. Like, everything he's doing is for the advancement of the human civilization. And I think he knows that it's not necessarily in vain, but he won't see most of it in his lifetime. He's just trying to edge it forward. He's trying to start something to get there. And me also, as a man of science, I'm not religious really at all. I'm on board with that. I respect him a lot for that. And I think people are very misconceived on him. He just has a very cynical focus on getting us off this rock, which I can back that 100%. I feel that's the only thing. But let's go find some answers. Y'all can argue over religions and believe in whatever God you want, and you're more welcome to do that, you know, but whatever makes you feel comfortable, whatever, you know, to mourn your dead, whatever you need to do it. That's fine. But I'm with this guy. I want to go find the answers. That's where I'm at, you know, and I think that's what he's trying to do. That's personally my little take on Elon, you know, and how he became a Nazi and all this other shit like that. It's just like, are you fucking kidding me, dude? He's just a guy trying to get off this rock, doing everything we can. Oh, he's got billions. Well, it takes a lot of fucking money and resources to do that because no one else is doing it.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. They called him a Nazi because they called Trump a Nazi, and anybody that supports Trump is a Nazi, apparently.
And so was Charlie Kirk. You know what I mean?
They're all trigger
else.
words, bro. They're all trigger words. Like when you call someone that's a conspiracy theorist, and you automatically just discredit them, and you know,
bingo.
That's what it is.
Bingo, right there.
That's what it is. And I think it was Nick Freitas. I think I don't know if I'm saying his name right or whatever, but he's another state rep or something. I don't know what state he's for or whatever, but he's got a YouTube and all that. And he had a really good point. He said, whenever I argue with a leftist, I'm trying to elegantly state my point. I'm trying to make my argument or whatever, while they're trying to diagnose.
Yep.
Is
I've
what's
heard
happening.
that too.
So it's like, well, you know, I feel this way about immigration because blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah. It's like, oh, so you're a racist. Well, no, I just don't believe in, you know, people coming into our country illegally because they're hurting our economic system and they're doing this and blah, 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 and yada, yada. And then so it just goes on and on and on. Like, so you're a racist or you're this or whatever. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to diagnose you with a psychological problem so that they can dismiss any logical point that you have. Because if they can diagnose you as a racist or a homophobe or a transphobe or any of these things, or call you a Nazi or call you a fascist or anything like that, if they can diagnose you in their own mind as that, then they get to dismiss any valid point that you have and then go on about their lives. And they don't have to listen to you if you're right in an argument because, well, you're a racist. So why would I listen to a racist? That's the whole move, man. That's the whole move. And it's not fucking right. It's not a valid argument. Let me
Well,
say
it's
that
the
much.
Trump card. That's what that is.
Well, yeah, the Trump derangement syndrome. I mean, just now with Trump announcing the Tylenol thing, like, goddamn, it was maybe 5 minutes after that announcement. I see these people,
Yeah.
they're like, huh, so Tylenol? Really? Tylenol? Really? It's like, first off, Trump didn't do the research himself. He just fucking is passing on the information. And once again, I'm sure he said it like a moron.
It is conveniently coming when there's a lot of turmoil in our country, though.
Well, what was
Seriously,
funny,
like a
dude?
moron.
Like, what was funny?
I'm sure he did, though.
Like me and Joe were talking about that very same thing at work. I was like, "Do you see that shit on TikTok where they're like these pregnant women are eating Tylenol?" That's just strictly because he said, Trump said that Tylenol was bad and all this other shit. And I was like, I'm done with society,
and it's like,
bro. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
I don't wish death on anybody. I don't. Like, I'm not that. I totally don't condone, killing or anything of that sort. But it's like, at the same time, like, Darwinism is a thing. And I do think it's time for Trump to start saying oxygen's fucking fantastic and cyanide
whatever happened to that my body, my choice movement? Like, she's like destroying another body in there, bro. Like,
she doesn't know that. I mean, Trump says that Tylenol's bad, so she thinks that Tylenol's great.
Beautiful, great oxygen. It's great stuff. And then,
like, please, dear God, do not put a plastic bag over your head. That'd be the worst thing you could ever do. Like, he needs to come out and just start saying these things, and that maybe we'll get some better conversation, because like the virtue signalers might there might be less of them. I don't wish death on them, but if Darwinism takes its course, then that's fine with me. It'll still be sad. We'll have an episode about it. We'll talk about all these people putting plastic bags over their heads, killing themselves because Trump said not to, and it'll be a shame. And
they are like the little kids, bro. It's like, you better not touch that. And they go, touch it, like, I'll beat your ass if you touch it. You'd be like,
it's such a shame, because it's like, what if he is giving you valuable information? Because at least what I got out of it was he was not saying Tylenol is the root cause. Once again, probably said it like a moron, and probably said it like it sounded like that. But obviously, we need to have people come in and interpret.
Tylenol's bad. We all know it's bad.
I just wonder if it has anything to do with
the world for
other countries and profits and stuff like that.
It could.
There's that with everything that's happening right now, and all of a sudden this comes out, another distraction just to keep us blinded from the truth.
Very well could be. Very well could be. But
why is this coming forth now?
It also could just be research that he's just throwing out there.
It could be something that they've been putting in there to fuck with us for the past 50 years.
And maybe not on purpose, but maybe there's just research that came out that said Tylenol is not the number one cause of autism, which I don't think he said. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty much sure he said it was
can be linked to it.
Yes, it can be linked, and it was a contributor. Just basically be careful with it. And most people, from what I'm seeing, or whatever, just listen to your physician. I've seen doctors state that there's really not much evidence showing that. It's strange, and I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I haven't looked at the research myself, and I wouldn't know what I'm looking at if you threw the research in front of me. I wouldn't.
I didn't watch his announcement on it. Did he say there were new studies on it? Did he
there have been studies in the
that?
past. I've seen comments of doctors saying, "Ooh, Tylenol is the cause." We said this 10 years ago, and we were dismissed as conspiracy theories. We've known this for a while. Like, apparently it's been well known that it's probably not good, along with probably many other things you're not supposed to take while pregnant, or eat while pregnant. Anything you take, eat, or drink, or anything, there's a lot that are probably harmful. There's probably a lot that contributes to autism, but Tylenol is probably one of them that maybe they just link to. I don't know. Maybe it'd be a good idea just to consult your physician and see what he thinks. And if you think he's leaning too hard one way, maybe you should ask him his political views, and then maybe go see another physician and just try to get an honest answer on what you should do. I'm not saying take Tylenol or don't take Tylenol. I'm just saying, I don't know,
just don't smoke crack.
I mean, maybe just don't. Maybe just because your TDS is so fucking insane that you don't have to just denounce everything that comes out of a man's mouth. Maybe he's just passing along some research to you. And once again, doing it like a moron, like he does. But
And there's
Maybe he
always
is.
option. You can always ignore him. You do not have to listen to him. Just because he says it doesn't mean you have to listen to him.
But you don't have to come out and say it's automatically wrong just because it came out of his mouth. Because once again, if he says oxygen is good, I'm pretty sure he's right.
I'm sure they've known this for years, but he's bringing it to light now for whatever.
Well, it takes time for research, and
Yeah,
things like that.
I mean, look, that Robert, the guy he's got in charge that's supposed to
Robert F. Kennedy.
Yeah, him. And he's supposed to be looking into that, looking into our foods, because most of our foods have stuff that most of these other countries don't have going into their stuff.
Oh, yeah,
Because
there's
there's a lot of
food dye or
harmful
something.
things that are getting put into our systems that could be avoided.
Absolutely.
No,
Should
it
be
is like
avoided.
something like red food coloring or something like that was one of them that he's pulling out.
Oh, yeah. Like red dye. Red dye number 3 or whatever the hell they call that.
Something like that. It's like known to it's known for something.
I think everybody can agree on that. All you got to do is go look at the ingredients on the back of your Cocoa Puffs and be like, I've never even heard of this shit. I don't know what this is.
You can't even
It's
spell
all
it.
produced in a lab.
You know?
Any closing statements from you guys you think you'd like to say before I end this little recording here?
Luke?
Not really, bro. I mean, other than America needs to quit being a bitch, man, and step up and fucking have that hard talk. You know?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
that's what we're trying to do.
We're all adults here. We're all trying to make it. Step the fuck up, dude. And let's have a talk. Like
That's all I
America
can do.
as a whole, dude. Like straight up.
I'm trying to be a tech savvy dude. That's what I do. I know I could put something like this together for us to do. So I know this episode has definitely been most of us in agreement, which is fine. We're going to have something like that or whatever, but I'm certainly going to get some opposing views on here. We're going to have some conversations.
Oh, no, that's fine. I mean, a lot of shit I was wanting to talk about, you guys were just hitting on. I was just like, y'all think this? Okay, cool. I'll listen to you all talk. This is great,
My closing statement will be, in effort to try and bridge the gap, is we all need to look at ourselves and realize that we ourselves are not perfect. There's probably I can think of plenty of things I've said and done in my lifetime that I wish I wouldn't have said or done. And if we can practice forgiveness in any way, shape, or form, that will get us on the right path. If we recognize we're not perfect, then maybe we'll stop criticizing everybody else for not being perfect as well.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
No, those are some wise words, bro, because we aren't. None of us are perfect.
No.
I'm certainly not.
Can't. If we're not perfect, how can we expect everybody else to be perfect? The people are going to say stuff that they're going to look back on and be like, I shouldn't have said that, And I've done it plenty of times in my life, in recent times. So.
And times change too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like some things that were okay to say 20 years ago aren't now.
I mean, just own the shit and move on, bro.
So I guess before you point the finger at somebody else, point it at yourself. Do some self-analysis before you go after anybody else.
Stop throwing out labels so easily.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Stop judging people just based on things that they say quickly.
Yeah.
Just everybody's too quick to judge and point a finger and write you off.
Certainly. All right, guys. Well, I'll say we'll call that an episode. I thank you so much for fucking joining us. Obviously, this one was a little messed up. It was expected. I got a lot of kinks to work out. We got people with shitty internet connections. We'll figure it all out. It'll be okay. We'll get there. I appreciate you guys joining us.
Pleasure,
man. Don't mind. Stick on because I need your upload. But other than that, thank you for joining us for the Madhouse show. Much appreciated. And we're going to be back at you a lot more. We're starting with a fury here. We're trying to make it a little easier for me to do more shit like this, current events, definitely weekly, maybe even more than weekly. We'll see how it goes.
It's a lot easier to get people together when you don't have to actually get them together.
Yeah, exactly. And we're going to do that too. We're going to continue on with our regular episodes. We're going to have people right here in the studio at the table. We'll be here to, be able to punch that person in the face if we need to. And people are a lot different when they're actually at the table too. I will say that much. So shows might get a little more interesting here over the internet, over video calls than they even do here, because you might get punched in the face if you're actually in person, which is exactly why I'm done with the keyboard warrior stuff. So I'm happy, to reply to your guys' comments. I'll do the best I can. If you guys watch this, you want to comment, definitely shoot me a message. Definitely, if you want to be on the show, we're more than happy to. You got an opposing view, you got some things you want to say, we'll bring you on video call. If you're close by, we'll bring you on in person. It doesn't matter to me. We just want to talk. That's it. We're just some, normal, everyday, average people, Americans having a conversation. So with that, I will say rest in peace, Charlie Kirk, for sure. I think he was a great man that was really trying to make a difference in our lives and for America. And me as not a man of faith, I can say that, he was a good man. I had many disagreements with him. I have some left-leaning views that completely disagree with him, but that's okay. That doesn't mean he was a bad person. He was just out there trying to explain his views, explain how he felt, and he was just trying to have a conversation, which is all we're trying to do. So thank you so much for joining us, guys. This is the Madhouse Show. Like, subscribe, do your things, and we'll be back at you much more. Thanks again.